Um, Today is the first day of exploring monastic life, and people are just gathering and getting used to what's going on. And we also have two guests here just for the day, Christian and Andrew, from, what's the name of your church community? What?
New community.
The New Community. Okay, so it's a church in Spokane, and they have a subgroup that is now doing, learning about interfaith dialogue. So they came up to visit us for the day. And so I thought I'd talk about just a little bit the diversity that we have in beliefs, because it applies not only to different, faith systems, but also, the people who are attending EML. Within Buddhism, we have different traditions also. Yeah, so just the whole idea of how do we handle difference, because we human beings always have this tendency to say, well, whatever is mine is the best. Yeah, don't we? Because, we're the most important ones in the universe from our own perspective. So if we're the most important ones, then whatever we believe happens to be the best thing and the right thing. And even if we change our mind tomorrow and believe something else, that's again the best thing and the right thing. This is how human beings are, aren't we? Because we would never believe anything wrong. And so I think that we have to get over that kind of self-centered way of understanding the world and see that actually there's so many different beings in here, and we all have different interests and different dispositions, and we need different things. That when it comes to faith, one system or one tradition it's not one size fits all. It's not going to work for everybody. Yeah, and so from a Buddhist viewpoint, we don't say Buddhism is the best religion, and that everybody should become Buddhist. Because for some people, it's just not going to be a fit in terms of where they are in this particular lifetime. And so it's better that people find a belief system that helps them be a good person, helps them live an ethical life, because that's the foundation, that's the important thing, when it comes to religion. What's the most important thing? It shouldn't be cheering on our religion like we're cheering football teams, rah, rah, my religion. So what? That has nothing to do with transforming our heart and becoming a kinder person, Whereas no matter what theology you believe, if it works for you personally and gives you a reason to keep good ethical conduct, to avoid killing and stealing and lying and things like that, harsh words, creating problems with, disharmony with our speech. Whatever your system is, if it helps you live a good ethical life, it's valuable, it's working for you, If it helps you to practice loving kindness to others, in a Christian sense, you do that because everybody's created in the image of God. In the Buddhist sense, you do it because we're all equal in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. Okay, so the reasons for it may be different, but the conclusion of, having love and compassion for other beings and putting that into practice in our daily life is what our faith is about. It's not about the words and the doctrine and espousing that. It's about it having an impact on who we are as human beings so that we live according to what we believe. Of course, that's always a work in progress, isn't it? Not all Buddhists are Buddhas, and not all Christians are Christ. Yeah? So we're all doing the best we can. So, not everything is always going to work out and, perfectly. But we have some tolerance, for our human foibles, and know that we all, in terms of our basic thing, what we're trying to do with our spiritual practice is develop kindness, a kind heart towards others. Stop all this kind of discrimination and us and them and I'm better and you're inferior and all this kind of rubbish. Stop that. Stop the thing that my happiness and my suffering are more important than anybody else's. That's not true, And to develop a sense of forgiveness, recognizing that living beings are living beings, and just like us, they make mistakes. And just as we want people to be patient and forgive our mistakes, then let us have that same kind of attitude towards others. So what I'm getting at is, regardless of our philosophy, if, whatever philosophy it is, it works to change how we feel in our gut, and how we live as human beings, then that system works for us. And so for that reason, Buddhism doesn't say, there's one best religion and everybody should be that, because it's not going to work, And also, I think an important thing is we should not confuse what a religion is getting at in its depths with what we see on the surface, okay? Because when we look at the surface, we see all these incredible things. Yeah, and I'll tell you one story that's really funny about this. I was in Dharamsala, India in 1990, and there was a delegation of Jews who came to talk to His Holiness the Dalai Lama and be in the Tibetan community. So on Friday night, it's Shabbat is coming in, so there's always a special dinner. So they organized at one place, one of the hotels, a Shabbat dinner with the Tibetans. The Tibetan lamas came and the Jewish delegation. So in Judaism, to welcome the Shabbat, you face Jerusalem as the holy city, and you sing and you dance because it's a joyous occasion to welcome the Sabbath. Okay, so before the meal, the Jews were out there on the veranda, and they were singing and praying and dancing to express their joy at Shabbat and to worship God and everything. And the Tibetans thought that they were worshiping the sun because they were facing the west, which was the direction of Jerusalem. And so those of us who knew better, we had to explain to the Tibetans, no, they're not worshiping the sun. Don't worry about it. Yeah, they're not pagans. Yeah, they have their own reason for doing what they're doing, and so we had to explain it. So, these kinds of things, if you just look superficially, we see things, that we don't understand, and then we impute our own meaning to it. Like when the first Christian missionaries came to Tibet, they said, this isn't Buddhism, this is Lamaism. They all worship their teachers, who are called lamas. That's not Buddhism, that's not what was going on. But you see people having a lot of respect for their teachers, and then you get it confused, and then you invent a new name. Or they looked at His Holiness and called him a God king. He's not a god and he's not a king, but, seeing things externally, then we impute our ideas on things. So we have to be so really careful when we're approaching any kind of system that's different than our own, to really ask what's going on and why and what are the reasons, and not just look superficially, but really look in the hearts of the people who practice, and what are those people trying to do in their lives? What kind of people are they trying to become? And when we look at that, then we see that anybody who understands their own religion correctly is trying to do the same thing. Yeah. Of course, people who don't understand their own religion correctly, then we have all these fanatics that our world is only too familiar with, because of not understanding their own faith. Yeah. So yeah, I think we need to look deeply into what we're all trying to do and see that we're coming to the same point. Yeah, in one way or another. Okay. Oh, let me give another example before we stop, because we're about to eat lunch. So, we have a buffet. So not everybody's going to eat the same food. Some people are going to eat one dish, somebody's going to eat another dish. We don't have so much variety, I'm sorry, so you're kind of stuck. But, in a big buffet, everybody can wind up eating very different things. The point is that they all get nourished. The point isn't that I like noodles best, so everybody should eat noodles. And I can't digest rice, so nobody should eat rice. That's not the point, The point is that we should all get nourished. And so the same thing with different religions or, within Buddhism, with different traditions, that people get nourished by whatever it is they're practicing in the form of it, transforming their own hearts and minds, into people who are wise and compassionate and who can make a positive contribution to society and to the world.